Hey golfers, it's Derek from ForeGolf Custom again. We got some new tech. Thank you, a couple of thank yous. First of all, thank you to everyone that subscribed, and thanks for all the questions. I hope that they're helping. I try to answer as many as I can. A lot of custom fit questions. So I think if we're all sharing and we're all kind of, giving our own opinions and a bit of sort of my insights, then I'm hoping that it makes a big difference to you. Thanks also to the guys at TaylorMade. They sent us out a couple of NDAs and we've got the gear well ahead of launch. This allows me to kind of get a hold of what's happening and let me figure out what way I'm going to run this driver for the year. This is the TaylorMade Qi4D, their brand new driver. Have to say, really like the look. Love this kind of this shaping, this coloring. It makes the driver look a little bit more compact. I was a fair big fan of Qi35. I quite liked the driver. It performed well for us from a fitting perspective and very stable. That trend kind of moves forward with TaylorMade. They're working on this ultra stable design, okay? And in all the drivers as we go along, the different heads, there's 4 of them. The big story here is the carbon fiber, the presence of carbon fiber. Now, why is that important? Well, what it's doing is it's saving weight in areas where it's not needed to allow us as fitters and designers, obviously, to push weight where we do need it to create this stability. It's testament as well that the driver went into play very early out on tour. Rory put it into play straight away, which means he's moved on from Qi10. He's happy with the way this driver performs. I think he was having issues with the way that the driver was launching off the face. And sometimes that could be complicated when you have a lot of carbon fiber and then you're placing weight in specific areas in the head. It can actually make the geometry of the driver a bit strange and create unusual flights, especially for those guys at high speed. So at tour level, this sometimes design can be a little bit challenging. The low spin is a little bit too less forgiving. The core head is a little bit too forgiving in Qi10. But in this Qi4D, I think they've cracked that balance and stability with that performance, because it's usually all up and out, or it's too low and very unforgiving. It's very hard to get that low spin and that balance to collide or be sort of together in such a way that it's very applicable for the different golfers. I'll start with the core head. This year it's got 4 weights. Brilliant. I'm delighted with this. From a fitting perspective, this is genius because it allows me to shift the CG around the club head, whereas before it was quite fixed and we couldn't really do much with it. Now we can do loads. So this comes way up the sort of scale for me from a fitting perspective. The weights up front keep the spin down a little, but keep the weight forward. The weights at the back create more stability. If you want more draw, move them around to the heel side, more fade up into the toe side. Again, hosel stays the same. It's the same higher standard and lower. Just be careful, please. It's not higher and lower in ball flight. It's more open and closed in face. So higher is more shut, lower is more open. Okay, again, for me as a fitter, it's brilliant because I can now coordinate not only the hosel adjustment and the hosel settings, I can match them now to the weight settings. It gives me a much broader use of this driver. It's why Rory went straight into the core head, because the CG manipulation and the hosel and the shaft tech means that it's driving everything forward. It is still keeping spin low though. This is actually the core head and it's in 10.5. You can see the spin ratio is still well low, even though I've struck that very close to center. So be careful. Loft is going to be important here. Weight setting is going to be really important. If you start moving that weight setting forward, the driver is going to be less stable. But you might need to do that in order to create the right trajectory or window so that you're hitting your launch numbers, so that you're getting all of your numbers in line to get the maximum carry. Next head up, Max. Really good driver. So this year we've got another weight up front for Max. And again, this is important for me as a fitter because when I tested these drivers first, I found that the lengths are really long, okay? And that means the swing weight or the balance weight's very heavy. And that's not a good thing in my eyes because it means that the driver's gonna feel very heavy and it's gonna swing quite heavy. I think TaylorMade have done this because they're working off this new shaft sort of idea where they're working on torsional value or closure rate. So a fast closure rate, mid closure rate and slow closure rate, and they're using this new React shaft to try and generate this. I think this is far too complicated for the normal club golfer. You're going to need some help with this. So this won't be just a plug and play scenario, because if you get the shaft wrong, as in its closure rate, it could have a big effect on how you're expecting the driver to work, okay? There's different weights in the shafts as well. There's 50s, 60s and 70s, and now there's X and S and R. It's broad, it's difficult, and it's complicated. So it's a really fitted product. This is not just a plug and play off the shelf, because you get the shaft wrong and you get the head right, the driver won't work. And vice versa. You get the shaft right and the head wrong, the thing just isn't going to work to its maximum capacity. So please get some help with this. This weight up front is brilliant for me because now I can tune this for swing weight. So I will likely be keeping lengths a little shorter than the standard 46 inches. And this is because I'm usually working on my strike rate, okay? I'm not really working on flat out leverage speed, but I can see why TaylorMade are using the stability in the club head to allow them to do that. For me, it's all about consistency of strike. In the kind of max head, it was one of my best heads for launching the ball. I love 12 degrees in this max head. Love it. It's phenomenal at getting the ball into the air. So if you struggle with flight and you're struggling to get the ball into the air, use the max, keep the big weight at the back, small weight up the front, open face up, higher the face up into that sort of more closed position, and that ball will fly. Stick it into a lightweight, soft tip, get the ball in the air type of shaft, and it's going to be brilliant. Max driver for me will be a club that I'm looking to try and stabilize the club head based on impact. If I get golfers over the top or struggling to kind of square things, this is a club head that's going to work brilliantly for me this season. The fact that it's very customizable for weights as well. Again, I'm tying the weights to the shaft, and then I'm tying the hosel into the way that the club head kind of delivers based on the different types of strikes or swing paths. A really good head in that light. The LS has been made a little friendlier, and I think what they've done here is they've made more elements of core like last year's LS, and LS then is getting a little bit of a refresh insofar as we now have weights front and back, and I think LS in QI35 was a real difficult driver to work with. It was super for low spin, and indeed this new LS standing for low spin, is definitely low spinning. It doesn't want to get above 2000 RPM off the 9 degree, but now that we have weight that we can shift to the back, we can use the low spin properties, but still get a little bit of forgiveness in that club head. So again, if I'm trying to stabilize things, I'm using the weights to make sure that I'm getting the best out of the club head based on the miss. So not necessarily on the strike, but on the miss. And then again, I'm tuning the shaft and the hosel. Shafts in this thing are going to be heavier. So you're going to be going 60, 65, 70, 75, and keeping things nice and solid and stable in this. Also, the standard LS is 46 inches. I don't think I've ever built a driver at high performance or out on tour at that kind of length in my time. Most drivers of this club are going to want to keep the length shorter. There are customizable swing weights available if you're ordering the club through Custom. We obviously build our own, so it's a whole different show. Don has got the different weights. He can split weight this, he can tune it based on the weight I want, but be careful. If you're going shorter, the swing weight's going to drop. You may want to sort of maybe look at making that club head a little bit different balanced. If you're a stronger striker, you're coming more from the inside, you're launching the ball in the air, it might not need to be the standard length. Here's a little tip for you. The Qi4D MAX LITE. This is a lightweight head that TaylorMade produced. It comes in the same 10.5 and 12. It's a little bit of a different colorway. You can see it's got a different coloring in it. This is a game changer if you are struggling for distance. So if you have slower swing speeds, you're struggling to launch the ball, and you can't get the ball to spin and fly and carry, get yourself into a Max Qi4D light head, go 12 degrees, get a lightweight shaft. This thing is a launch dream. This thing wants to get in the ball, get in the air really quick, and it wants to spin north of 3.5 to 4,000. It's an absolute winner if you're struggling for distance and you've got no speed. Get that light in the bag, it will do all that you need. We don't really use Max Lite a lot because our heads come into us unweighted, and then we customize the weight based on what we want to do for the different golfers based on their swing tempo. I think TaylorMade's idea with this shaft idea, where the head is built around the shaft, is not a bad idea. I think it's good because it's all the time trying to match the shaft and the head to the golfer. I do think it's a little bit complicated, so you are going to need help. Thankfully, we've been doing shaft fittings here for the last 25 years, so this isn't something new for us. And I would always use the shaft dynamic to match to the swing tempo of the golfer anyway. So for me, this isn't really something new, but I guess in terms of off the shelf, it is something very new because now it's pigeonholing the shafts into different sort of sections of golfer based on their closure rate. If you are going to go with this driver, there's a lot of weights. There's a lot of hosel settings. It's a little bit different in terms of last year's driver. You probably want to go to get some help with this one. Stick in the comments below, please, if you've tested the driver, if you've been out to a demo day, if you've got it out to hit. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're seeing. I'm not seeing a huge change in design in terms of QI35 to this new Qi4D. I think the driver is already very stable. I do think that the 4 different heads now are a little bit more applicable from a fitting perspective, but I'm not seeing any massive gains in terms of, more consistent speed or more consistent spin rates. I think it's just the same kind of product, just in a slightly more fittable, more adaptable product line. Anything you have in terms of fitting questions, you can stick them in the comments below. As I said, I'll always try and get those out there, but I really appreciate all of the likes. I really appreciate all of the subscriptions. Keep them coming. I'll keep the videos coming. Until the next time, I'll see you at the next video. Cheers.